Hello, this is Baby Ramana Teacher in English. In this video, I would like to share with you the topic that in relative clauses. Now let us start our discussion with the question, when is that used in relative clauses? That is used in defining relative clauses in the subject places for persons and things. Look at the set of three examples. In this set of three examples, there are defining relative clauses and that is used in the subject places for persons. And below that, there is another set of three sentences in which we can find the defining relative clauses, and in each relative clause that is used in the subject place for things. That can also be used in the object places for persons and things in defining relative clauses. In the following sentences, we can find defining relative clauses. In the first three sentences, that is used in the object places for persons. In the rest of the three sentences, that is used in the object places for things. Here, one important thing is that if we want, we can drop that. Now the question is, when is that not used in relative clauses? That is not used in non-defining relative clauses. Look at the following four sentences where we can find the non-defining relative clauses between commas. In each non-defining relative clause, we have not used that. Instead, we have used who, which, whom. And also, when antecedents are people and those, then that is not preferred. Look at this sentence. Here in this sentence, pupil is the antecedent. So we have used who instead of that. And in the second sentence also, the antecedent is those. So we have used who instead of that. So when the antecedents are people and those, that is not preferred. Now the question is, when is that preferred in relative clauses? When the antecedents in defining clauses have the words all, same, any, only, much, few, little, no, none, something, nothing, like that, as adjectives or noun phrases, then we can prefer that. Look at the examples. Here all is there, then we have used that. Same is the word which is there in the antecedent, so we have used that relative pronoun. A little is there, so we have used the relative pronoun that. None is there in the antecedent, so we have used that as relative pronoun. And something and nothing are there, so we have used that as relative pronoun. In the following examples, the few word is there, then we can make use of that. And no word is there, so we can make use of that as relative pronoun. And only is the word used here, so that is used as relative pronoun. And any is there in the antecedent, so we have used that as relative pronoun. And in the last sentence, any is used in the antecedent, so we have used that as relative pronoun. In this way, if the antecedents in defining clauses have the words all, same, any, only, much, few, little, no, none, something, anything, nothing, like that, then we prefer that as a relative pronoun. After the interrogative pronouns what and who, we can make use of that. Look at the following examples. That is used after the interrogative pronouns who, what, and in the third sentence what. So after the interrogative pronouns, we prefer to use that as relative pronoun. If the antecedents in defining clauses have superlatives, then we prefer to use that as a relative pronoun. Look at the following sentences. All these sentences have the superlatives. In the first example, the superlative form is fastest. In the second sentence, the superlative form is tallest. In the third sentence, the superlative form is cleverest. And in the fourth sentence, the superlative form is coldest. In the next sentence, the superlative form is cheapest. And in the last sentence, the superlative form is best. As these sentences have the superlatives as antecedents, then we prefer to use that in relative clauses. And also when the antecedents in defining clauses have ordinals like first, second, third, fourth, fifth, last, etc., we prefer to use that in the relative clauses. In the first sentence, first is used. The ordinal first is used. So we have made use of that in the relative clause. And in the antecedent, we have used in the second sentence the ordinal second. So we have used that in the relative clause. In the third sentence, we have used third, the ordinal, in the antecedent. So we have used that as relative pronoun in the third sentence in defining clause. And in the last sentence, last is there, that is the ordinal. So we have used that in the relative clause as relative pronoun. In this way, if the antecedents in the defining clauses have the ordinals, we prefer to use that. When the antecedents of the relative clauses are the complements to the verb be form, then we prefer to use that in relative clause. Look at the following sentences. Here the antecedents, the game, the people, French, the fact, a teacher, are the complements to the verb be form. So we have used that in the relative clauses. When the antecedents include person plus thing or animal, we prefer to use that in the relative clause. Look at the first example. The antecedents include person Ramu and the animal horse. So we have used that as relative pronoun in the relative clause. And in the second example, the antecedents include person Madhu and an animal is goat. So we have used that as relative pronoun in the relative clause. And in the third example, Ravi, the person, and the things, his toys are included in the antecedents. So we have used that as relative pronoun in the relative clause. In this way, when the antecedents include person plus thing or animal, we prefer to use that in the relative clause. Now let us have an exercise. Choose the correct relative pronoun. In the example number 1, we have preferred who because it is a non-defining relative clause. In non-defining relative clauses, we cannot make use of that. So here we have used who. In the second example, superlative, the best is there. Superlative form, the best is there. Whenever we find the superlatives in the antecedents, we prefer to use that. So the right answer will be that. In the third example, the what is there. So what is the interrogative pronoun? So after interrogative pronoun, what or whom, we prefer to use that. So we have used that as answer. In the fourth example, we have used both either who or that because it is defining relative clause. In defining relative clause, we can make use of who or that for persons. So both answers are right. In the fifth example, there is ordinal number, that is third. So whenever we have ordinals in the antecedents, we prefer to use the relative pronoun that. So we have used that. And in the sixth example, after interrogative pronouns, that is what or who, we prefer to use that. So right answer will be that. In the seventh example, after certain words like nothing, all, same, some, anything, any, we prefer to use that. Here nothing is there, so we have used that. And in the eighth example, the word only is there. I mean, after some words like only, nothing, anything, same, some, all, we prefer to use that. As here the word only is there, we prefer to use that. I mean, after indefinite pronouns, we can make use of that as relative pronoun. Well friends, if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, tapping subscribe button on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching. Namaste.